remember all the words I said.
We'll fix it in post.
This will be the pre-episode bit this time.
Why would you do this to me? Okay, got it. I got it. Third time's a charm. Hello, sleepyheads. Welcome to Lore Drop, a Reinvent podcast. This is a special episode of the podcast. We are doing our first time capsule episode where we are going to be talking about the show that we closed yesterday as of recording this, which is why the three people at the kitchen table are a little sleepy. But that's not going to stop us from talking about the beautiful show that we just closed. My name is Abby. I'm the executive director of Reinvent Productions.
I'm Ben, the creative and artistic director.
And our third party member today with us is...
Samuel Kovacs. I played Wendell in Ordinary Heroes.
Yes, he was Benjamin's doppelganger.
Yeah.
Which was, it was always fun. I would send my parents rehearsal photos and they would be like, who is this kid? And why does he look so much like Ben? It was crazy. I remember, I don't know if your dad said this to you when he watched the show, but he said that the little run that you did when you were a kid was very, very
accurate. Yeah, I was there for that.
Yeah. What a sweet moment.
So for our time capsule episodes, what we're going to be doing is looking back at the process of making the project that we were working on. So in this instance, it's talking about the stage show that we just did. So we're going to be talking about the development, the directing, the design, and then we'll be talking with Sam about his experience as an actor, because fun fact, this is Sam's first main stage acting project that he has done in 6 years. Sam was a brilliant sound designer and technician, so it was a delight to get him back as an actor for the show. I think very poetic that one of Ben's former students got to play him, basically in a show. Yeah. But before we get too far into this episode, we must discuss the most important part of the episode: what animated trio we are today. I feel like it has to be something sleepy.
People ask you what your favorite song is, and
you're like,
feel like you've never listened to music before.
I've never heard a song in my entire life. I'm like looking around our room. We have so much nerdy stuff in our house. I'm trying to get inspiration.
Trying to find inspiration.
I feel like a Snorlax today.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we were just sleepy Pokemon. We could just be 3 Snorlaxes all together.
If we're doing Pokemon, what's the duck starter?
The Quaxley?
Yeah, I love Quaxley.
Quaxley's so good.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
okay. Wait, we can be the trio of the... Wait, Quaxley, and then you can be Fuecoco.
Yeah.
And I get to be the kitty.
Sprigatito.
Sprigatito.
Nice, that's good.
Okay,
Yes.
that works
I like
great. That's the only grass starter I've ever used.
Wow.
Because I'm a fire girly.
Yeah.
But yes, Ben has a stuffed Fuecoco that is in our sound booth.
Yep.
Yes.
So if I ever need an acting partner in the booth, Fuecoco's in there. He's got my back.
Oh, I love
He's a
that.
good guy. Okay, great. Okay, so we are arguably one of the best starter trios.
Yes.
Nice.
Great. Okay, great job, guys. So Ben, you want to give us a description of Ordinary Heroes?
Yeah. So the log line that I had written down for Ordinary Heroes was that Ordinary Heroes holds up an introspective magnifying glass to the role that creativity plays in the lives of children and how that creativity in turn helps them as they grow into their often turbulent adolescent years. So Ordinary Heroes is a full-length stage play. That's the medium that we fall into. And as for genre, it falls into a lot of like, it is obviously very comic book and superhero inspired. As well as, oddly enough, never thought it would have come out of my writing brain, but a coming of age story. Because I famously hate coming of age stories.
That right?
It's very rare for me to find one that I like.
Which is crazy based on the kind of anime that you like.
Yeah.
Like that Horimiya anime that we were telling you about.
Yeah.
That is such a coming of age.
I think it's Western coming of age that I hate. Because looking at that, like, yeah, absolutely, there are a lot of anime that are, because that's also like 90% percent of anime are set in high school and middle school anyway.
Right.
That's
yeah.
true. Western coming of age of stories usually are quite depressing.
Yeah.
Or at least have a depressing element to it.
I definitely agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like somebody's got to die or be horribly crippled or something.
Yeah.
Like it's
You gotta
just,
have awful parents or some tragedy happens or whatever else.
And not that that's like not in the anime ones, but I feel like they're usually so much more, everyone's enjoying life and
Yeah.
it's joyful.
that's why I hate Spring Awakening. Like I'm a big Spring Awakening hater because like while it is like one of the ones that like it does show like a bunch of stuff that teenagers struggle with, but like there's
But it
only
only shows the bad parts.
yeah, there's
of being
only
a teenager.
there's only one song in that show that is like talking about the fun of like the song My Junk. It's like even though it is about like the weird like
That's about puberty.
it's about puberty, but it's
Oh, is
but
it?
Yeah.
but it's fun. Like it's a fun thing. It's like it's new discoveries that are happening, but that's the only happy bit of teenagedom that is found in that show. Shout out to my friends at Roundtable though that did Spring Awakening. You guys did a great job with that, and I loved working on that one. But hot darn, I hate that script, and it would take a lot for me to come work on that show again. But yeah, so the idea of this being a coming of age story, obviously you didn't intend for it to be a coming of age story. Originally, the show started as like almost a history lesson in how comic books work. You want to kind of talk about the like the development process of that?
Yeah, the early like first drafts of this script were in a similar vein of it would open up on a comic book scene that's happening, and that scene would play out, and very much it would go through very quickly, just sort of bare bones story stuff. I think the very first Captain Amazing and Booming Boxer scene is one of the only scenes from that first draft that actually survived all the way through unchanged.
Wow. Do you have the old drafts of?
No.
Oh my
Long gone.
gosh.
They're gone. Oh.
Yeah.
You gotta start saving those. Shan't.
Yeah. But other scenes had like variations of them. And so like what would happen is it would start out with a comic book scene, and then the characters in that scene, not even the characters in the scene, would be like, okay, cool, that's the end of the comic book. And then here's the heroes talking directly to the audience about comic book history and like what they just watched. That was sort of the initial idea behind it, because I was doing a lot of my own research into comic book history at that point, and I was like my hyperfixation at the time. And so I was like, no, I just want to really write all this stuff down in here.
Yeah. I remember there's a specific book from the library that I would get as a kid. It was a Superman, like one of those like big character encyclopedia books. And I remember like as a like young teenager going through that, and I always thought it was so interesting, like looking through like, we talk about the golden age of Superman and the silver age and bronze age, and like going through the history of it. And that was kind of like the idea of being like, oh, these are the different ages of comics. This is how you like move from one age to the other. Which like your original concept for it, I feel like works really well. Like if it were like a theater for young audiences show, where it's like more like an educational theater sense. But what made you kind of pivot into having the writer of these comic books become the main character of the show?
It was sort of born from my own actual writer's block that I was having at the time, because that first iteration of the script had the Captain Amazing and Booming Boxer scene, and then it followed up with the Sneak and Fortunato scene. That was scene 2 was Sneak versus Fortunato, and again that had Captain Amazing pop in at the very end. And then scene 3, I was writing out the trick shot scene for the first time, and I was just stuck, and I was like, now what do I do? And it sat that way for a good like 3 months maybe. And then I think genuinely, I don't remember what it was that made me be like, okay, let me go back at some of this stuff and interject like a writer on top of this, like someone who is writing the thing. I think I genuinely don't remember what it was, but at some point I was just like, let me redo these, take out the history part of these, and introduce an actual person writing them in the story. And initially that character I was one that was just like, I don't know, this is just whoever's writing these. I named them Wendell just because that was what was in my head because of my own pseudonym, and I was like, I'll change it at some point. And then I never did. But yeah, and then from there was I readjusted some of the scenes, and then I started getting more headway with that idea of like, okay, cool. From that point, I started interjecting things from my own life and growing up into it. And so sort of had that idea of like, here's inspiration from the people around the writer and the world around them is what leads to what they write. And that was where that idea sort of came from. And that one went up to the second trick shot scene. And that was one that was like, okay, now I am stuck again. And around that time was when I was in dramatic analysis at Texas Tech that was taught by Chris Staley. And something clicked one day in that class. We were talking about, it was the weirdest thing. We were talking about the play We Are Proud to Present, which if you've ever read or watched it before, it's pretty, I don't know if depressing is the right word, but it's a word that can be used to describe it. The premise behind We Are Proud to Present is that it is a meta-theatrical play. So it is a play about people making a play. But in the script, they go back and forth between scenes of the actors rehearsing the play that they're making and then them performing it in front of the audience that is actually there watching the play. Yeah, and so the scenes were, instead of being called scenes, they were called performance or like rehearsal and presentation. Process and presentation, that's what it was. And so it was going back and forth between those things. So you saw the actors as themselves and then the actors as the characters they were coming up with as well. And so something about that play really stuck with me, that idea of juggling these different versions of the world and seeing all these things. I was like, oh, and that like in my brain was like, that's what we can like we already had like the character roundups and everything, but that's what my brain connected to that play. Then I was like, oh, this is what I'm looking at right here. And then I unlocked like the structure that I wanted it to be, which is where we got the sort of like two timelines, one of the writing with the gold, silver, bronze age, and the other of Wendell's life with middle, high school, and college. And then the third timeline, of course, just being the structure of the play itself. And then I was like, I need 3 acts.
Yes. Yeah, so this play is written as a 3-act play. We did do it with just one intermission, just because that's what Western theater is used to. Even though it was used not too long ago, used to be common practice for there to be 2 intermissions, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we did a 2 intermission play when we were in undergrad. We did Blithe Spirit, and that is a 3-hour play, and we did 2 10-minute intermissions.
Oh man, I was on stage for most of that show, so I have a hard time. I was tired the entire time. The time that I was able to like sit and get my ghosty makeup on was like my only rest period during that show.
Yeah, and so I think that's the other thing with We Are Proud to Present, because in that script, the final scene is called Process Station instead of Process or Presentation, and that's sort of this idea of like while they are performing / rehearsing, it's kind of hard to tell where they're at because they just naturally flow into one in the middle of the scene, and then there's a whole thing where like one of the actors like majorly crosses a line. And like the whole show is like about racism and colonialism. And so that's the thing that makes it like a kind of a rough play, but it's very important and very well written. In this, there's a whole thing where one of the actors just like walks off in the middle of it. And then it's like, oh, and the rest of them like look at the audience. We're like, well, I guess we're done. And that's just how it ends. Yeah, I highly recommend it if you think you can handle it. And if you don't think it's something you can handle, don't worry.
So shout out to Dr. Chris for helping Ordinary Heroes get unlocked.
Oh yeah.
It's always fun to be able to trace back and be like, oh, this was a moment that made things click.
And that's so fascinating. I would have just assumed that this started as like, a story you wanted to write about your own life. I would have never guessed that came much later.
Yeah, it also like varied on like how much I wanted to go into it. And it was sort of like a therapeutic thing at the time as well, of just like, I just need to get something out, whatever it is, right? Because I think initially as well, all of the real world characters like had names, not just like, so in the script, there's the real world characters and then there's the comic book characters. And in the real world, the only characters who have a name are Wendell and Alex. Everyone else is like their like title of like what they are in life. So like mom, dad, sis, art teacher, friend, buddy, and pal. And so that was one that I like. Initially, all of them had their names, and they were all representative of like the actual people they were.
Because Alex is a real person.
Yeah.
That was your best friend in high school when you were in Germany.
Yeah.
Several of my girlfriends throughout the process, before they understood the show or like knew the backstory of the show, they were like, "Is Alex you?" I'm like, "Nope, Alex is Alex is Alex," and she It's a girl that you haven't seen in 10 years, but like someone that I've never met, don't know if I'll ever meet her, but someone I'm really grateful for.
Well, and that's the interesting thing as well, is that a lot of the scenes with Alex in the play are specific Alex interactions. That's also one of the roles that it is honestly kind of an amalgamation of a lot of friends from high school, because like and some of it is also some like wish fulfillment of like looking back and I'm like, I wish someone would have had this conversation with me at this time. Right. And like I think one of the things is like all of the scenes with mom, dad, and sis are very like directly like, yeah, this is how interacting with my family was, and it was in this sort of form and everything, for better and worse. Worse as in me not talking to them about things that I was struggling with.
Yeah, or the struggle over what spaghetti is, because that caused a huge uproar amongst our cast. It's just how they talk.
But yeah, and so that sort of like became, because it was one of those that I was already kind of concerned about, like, okay, in the early writing process, I was like, I want all of these roles to have like a relatively even amount of time that is being used for them. And then at some point I was like, oh no, I don't need to worry about that. I'm just going to write for what the story needs to have and then go from there. But I did want to have a focus of like, even though a lot of those scenes in volume 2 with Alex are actually inspired by several different friends, that it comes back to that core of like she was the most like support pillar friend.
During the development process of writing this show, we did several read-throughs at different places. One of them was a read-through at Jane B.
Yeah.
I was there for that.
Yeah. Were you our Wendell for that one too?
I didn't partake in it, but I went to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I don't remember who played Wendell during that.
It was
read-through.
James.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing I mainly remember is Deacon playing Captain Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
Which was really entertaining, I must say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like we say very often that we are having surreal experiences, but like let me tell you, like the fact that we're hitting the 10-year mark of Ben writing Reinvent stuff. I'm at my 6-year mark of writing stuff. So it is truly surreal every single time. Like we get a big group of people together who are like invested in watching the show. Like I had several moments this weekend we were performing, like yesterday, those 2 kids that were sitting in the laps of their parents they were sitting so still for a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
I was just impressed, but also just like how locked in those kids were. And then just seeing the other, like the feedback that we got from the audience, like with their laughs and cries and all of that. I mean, it's humbling how invested people have become in these stories, because it's kind of like there are times where I get in my head of being like, do people really care as much? And I'm like, no, we're making really cool stuff and people should care because it's cool.
Yeah.
That's so great. I mean, yeah, it's a testament to how much passion you guys clearly have for it. I think that is, so to speak, woven into everything that you make.
And I think just not only the fact that we care a lot, but like I think the people that we've gathered over the course of the last like 3 stage projects we've done, we have just been divinely blessed that like the last 3 groups that we've had together have just been stellar. And I guess it's like that's like my biggest prayer, like as we're moving forward with stuff, like especially as we do open auditions for stuff, it's like we're gonna get new friends and we're gonna find people that we haven't worked with before, but just like continuing to foster that community that we have, like whether you've been here since What If back in 2024, or you just joined us for Ordinary Heroes. And there were a lot of people that came up to us at the end of the shows just being like, expressing the fact that they felt seen with this show.
I had 2 or 3 different people I had never met before come up to me and express just how much this meant to them because they felt like they saw themselves in Wendell.
Yeah. Well, and like being able to see people that we really care about, whether it's some of our students or some of our friends, like seeing the big impact that it had on them. And like, not that we're out to make people cry with our stuff, but like if we're able to like cause an emotional response to something that like makes you, whether it's making you grateful for your experience or like feel like you are being seen, because sometimes like that's what you need, is being like, oh, somebody else feels the way I have felt or do feel right now. I think it is just so important. And I'm glad that there were a lot of teenagers that got to see this show, especially with the topics that we juggled throughout it.
You mentioned that first reading that we did at J&B, because that reading was just volume 1.
Yes,
like
was,
the show.
and it was on that cliffhanger because at the end of volume 1, with the story, if you didn't see the play, the main character Wendell, as Ben is a military brat, who's at the end of volume 1, his mother is deployed, leaving dad as a single parent, making that it's a difficult, very turbulent time. Seeing that you and that Sam and our friend James Allison acted like it so good every single night, the interaction that you guys had. And again, something that your dad, Ben, whenever he saw the show, was like, I remember this, and how hard it was, and navigating that. When people saw that at J&B, they were kind of like, wait, what? What more? What happened?
Wait, you can't leave me like this.
For you as a writer, can you talk about the importance of having table reads?
Yeah. I think for this one, especially since the script itself was so out there and very like, I hate using the word experimental for it, but like non-traditional in its structure of how it works, that getting the table read was extra important to me to make sure that it still worked and flowed, because like I can read it on my own, however many times I want, but there's still going to be blind spots that I miss until I hear other people reading it out loud or hear an audience reacting to it, right? So yeah, that is one that is always very important to me because of that. And like, I think it's also, I don't want to understate as well the support system that was script raters at Texas Tech, the like student like script writing club that is there, because they were the first ones. Like I brought the first scene to like the last meeting of script raters my second year at Tech, and it was very funny because that reading was just me, James, Justin Gonzalez, and Rod. Like it was the 4 of us reading the first scene of that play all together. And there might have been 1 or 2 other people there. It was a smaller meeting, but so yeah, that also just like popped into my head just now. So it's very fun that they all got to be in it as well.
I truly wish that our friend Ella hadn't moved before this play got mounted, because she was a wonderful support throughout the entire. We would often get updates, like just of her thoughts and stuff. And the day that she saw the casting announcement, she texted me in all caps, being like, "Sam is playing Wendell."
Oh man!
And she was so excited about it.
Yeah,
honestly, Ella Ashley, probably one of the biggest fans of the script.
Yeah, but so yeah, script raters is honestly the other thing along the way of like, I was constantly bringing in the versions and revisions of all the scenes as they were going for that group to read. The only things that they didn't read in script raters were the volume 3 scenes. That was just because I didn't get to those until like right at the end of that year.
You straight up left them with the death of Captain Amazing.
I invited them to the rest of the like every other reading that we had.
Crazy.
I sent the invitation and said, "Hey, if they want to come see get the rest of this," and Rod showed up.
Yeah, Rod.
Needed to know what happened.
Yeah, Rod and Justin, but
Ella was there too, or was she already gone by then?
I sent her the script specifically once it was done, because by the time we finished it, yeah, she had already moved because we couldn't get like a big read in time.
That first, I guess like the last read, but first time that we had a reader for each track, that was a moment for me, like as someone starting a nonprofit. I was like, okay, we can make this happen, because we were able to get 22 people in a room, or 23 people in a room to read.
Yeah, for a table read, like
for a giant script.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Was that the one I was at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
because that first one at J&B was just 8 people. across, and even then, that volume 1 is still about 15 of those 22 characters or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, but we were able to, like, between you and James, we were able to pull together enough readers that every track had a different voice for it.
And honestly, it was mostly James who was like calling in favors and being like, hey.
Yeah, bro's got connections. I walked in that room and I saw people from all the different parts of my life in the city.
It was
You're here and you're here.
Very, very Dorothy Wicky.
Yes.
It was a crazy crossover episode because I was seeing people from like my LCT community, seeing people from TTU, seeing people that like had just done stuff with us. But it was so cool to see that. And the fact that the energy with it, there was nobody that wasn't invested in it. It was very...
Yeah, that was the other thing. You had a room of 23 people who were all so excited to read this.
Yeah, and they were...
And it was a good like 10 or so of them had never read it before, like anything about it.
So like whenever like Trick Shot got killed off or like Captain Amazing got killed off, they were like, what is happening? No!
Yeah.
Live reactions.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was... The development for this was a special process itself. And then so getting into the rehearsal process for it, and looking at that final like table read, because that table read was meant for you to like get a final listen before you locked the script. So that way we could get the 160-page document printed out for everybody. And almost everyone, a good majority of the people at that table read were in the show. Some of them we had to like switch around a little bit. Like I remember Emma read Dark Fog the first time around, but then she ended up being our witch doctor.
Yeah.
But like a good chunk of the people that were there, I mean, were there with us to the finish line. And what I had pitched to everybody, I was like, okay, guys, this is going to be a quote unquote staged reading, but like the idea of it being an elevated stage reading, because of how long the show is, I was like, we can't just stand behind music stands the entire time. It's not going to work if we do it that way.
Yeah. Well, it's also a very action packed show. Like a lot of the story beats happen through the fights and the action.
Yeah.
So that was a particular challenge for me as a director, is being like, okay, how do we balance this out? Because we had 3 weeks of rehearsal before, we had like a 2-week break for the Christmas holiday season. And then we came back for a week and then we had tech.
Yeah.
Wow, it really was that fast of a turnaround. That's
Which I'm never doing it again. Never, ever doing it again. I don't know why I've done this to myself twice, but it's never happening again. Anyway, I digress. But we were like, okay, how do we make this still work as Reader's Theater? And what I had pitched, and I said, I was like, this will be on book for most of the stuff, but our final scene, the volume 3, issue 3 scene, will be off book and will be fully staged. Because that is that's obviously the climactic part of the show. And it is the point in the show where everybody is on stage for it. Except for Wendell, which is kind of funny until the very, very end.
Yeah.
But as we were going through the rehearsal process, I was finding little nuances that supported my original like pitch for the directing. So like I noticed at one point, like when I was looking through your comics that you had drawn, and I was realizing like, oh, Ben would draw comics like torso up, like for like in the comic book frames. And I was like, oh, that kind of works with the music stands that like we're seeing.
Oh yeah.
That it's almost like we're in comic book panels by like being in the boxes. And then as we moved forward, like the first issue that when we got into the Silver Age, my character Sneak and Fortunato, we ended up kind of moving away from the music stands a little bit throughout the issue. And as we got further and further into the show, we started using the music stands less. We still had our stage directions being read, but the staging was meant to reflect on where Wendell was as an artist. I mean, because he the more you do something, the more you improve. So showing that like his style got more dynamic, his art skills got more dynamic.
And I think that like having the later scenes be off book lent itself to that as well. You know, we were coming off the page as we got further in.
Yeah.
Well, and it was so I always loved the 2.2 scene where it was the second Booming Boxer and Captain Amazing fight.
2.1.
Or sorry, yeah, 2.1. Whenever they started actually fighting, and the audience was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
cool,"
yeah.
and then they're like, "Oh, they're actually like really getting
minute.
into it."
Yeah.
And as opposed to them facing the audience and shadow boxing each other, which like their physicality for that was great, but being able to see the progression, and then when you get to the final 10 versus Hayden fight,
Yeah.
like
yeah, everyone fights Captain Amazing.
and it just seeing the progression of the physicality was really special for me. There was a particular bit of blocking that Justin and I basically collaborated on separately because he had set the fight part of it, but I realized that we needed a little bit more physicality for the dialogue part. So it's the part where Dark Fog and Captain Amazing are fighting each other, and Dark Fog's like, "We got to kill the bad guys," and Captain Amazing's like, "No, we shouldn't do this." And that was kind of like we were messing around with just some physicality. And what the actors were able to like pitch, and then what I was able to like kind of like polish up, probably some of the coolest physicality I've gotten to set. Like we had it that Liz's character basically used telekinesis to like keep Hayden, like who is 9,000 feet tall.
Literal Superman.
This Superman looking guy, keeping him like at bay, like pinning his arms to the ground and like being able to pin his arm behind his back, like that physicality. Every night that I watched it backstage right before I came out and killed Captain Amazing, I was like, this is so freaking cool. So the building up with that, and then the other thing that I had realized is that having Rebecca read our stage directions out loud, that was also an indication of where Wendell was as a writer. Because it was like kind of the safety net of her reading out the stuff that we couldn't necessarily put on stage, or and she, by the end of the show for the last scene, she set us up for the last issue, and then she exits and we don't see her again until Bows. And for me, like being your wife and like seeing you change like over the years, I personally feel like that Wendell college writing for you like really was that like that bit during our junior year where you did have like a big life change and your writing did change and became more hopeful, and like, but when your writing became more hopeful, it also just became so much more interesting and dynamic to read and then perform. And I love that the final scene includes inspiration of real life throughout it, because like mom, dad, and sis and all of the friends show up as characters throughout the final scene. And it was really special to get to be like, okay, this is where we get to showcase like what Ben's writing is now, because you write without limitations. Now you kind of just let yourself write. Obviously, because you wrote a 160-page script, even though Final Draft was in the red saying, "Hey, this script is too long, you should stop."
I'm like, no. What if I write more?
And it was like, no. But it was just, it was, as a director who knew the source material, arguably the second best only to you, being able to be like, okay, I knew what you were like before you had a major life change. And then where you are now really affected like how I directed the scenes. Sam, for you as an actor, what was it like kind of having, because you were obviously in the real world scenes, you had the interactions with the real people, I guess. And I realized I've never asked you this, like, what was it like whenever like someone would come up, like I would come up and sit by you a lot. Like whenever it was during my 2 issues, like Sneak would come and sit by Wendell and be like, oh, this is really cool. So like having the comics around you versus like the real people that you were directly interacting with.
I mean, at first it was just, don't look at them, don't look at them, don't look at them, because I can't acknowledge the characters that are not supposed to actually be there in the real world, right? And oh my gosh, I think, what was it, Final Dress, that I accidentally turned around and locked eyes with you.
And I was like,
well, because that was, I think, the first night that Matt was playing Friend, right?
It was
or
either
one of the first ones.
Yeah, it was one of the first
and
ones.
I was getting used to his different timing.
Yes.
And so I was waiting for him to enter, and he was taking a few more seconds than normal. And I didn't know you sat behind me in that scene up until that point. I had no idea.
Oh my gosh!
Like, I had never noticed
the entire time.
so you got a little closer that time than you usually did, and so I saw you out of my peripheral, and I went, "Oh, that's weird. Matt must have walked around and is coming up behind me in the scene. Okay, I'm gonna turn around and say hi." And I just.
Nope.
No. So I just slowly turned back to my book.
That's funny.
Oh man. But it was really cool. Like overall, because, and especially once I got better at not looking at you guys. But like, you still feel the presence. We have a little bit of a sixth sense, I believe. Or just, having someone that's just, in the corner of your vision, or you feel the breeze of them sitting next to you. And like, it got me that much deeper into the role, because it's like I'm focusing on what I'm doing, but I do feel this presence surrounding me of comfort. These people, and I know that you guys are intently watching and listening to what I'm doing. Like, you're there for me, and yeah, it was that and all these elements that just really helped me get into it.
So there's the comfort of the comic of the superheroes. What was it like when I changed the direction for Emma to basically be messing with you directly? So Emma, who played our witch doctor, I think right before we went on break, I was like, oh, witch doctor is a representation of Wendell's anxiety.
Oh my gosh.
So what if we have it that like it's the Richard Saves the World issue. I was like, what if, like, whenever she says "until we meet again," if it's not at Richard, but if it's at Wendell?
Oh man, yeah. Well, yeah. Because I don't think the first time she did it, she had told me, like, right before I went on stage, she's like, by the way, I'm going to get right in your ear. And I was like, oh, okay. And she really did. She was right up in there. And I am, in the middle of a very emotionally tense moment. I'm trying so hard to, and I know that at that moment, all eyes are on me and her. So I'm needing full control over my face and like everything I'm doing with my body. And yet at the same time, I have this face closing in next to my ear going, I'll see you soon. And I'm like, don't look.
The audience didn't get to appreciate this as much as I wanted them to, but honestly, I think it was more so for us as a cast, that at the very end of the show, whenever Captain Amazing punches out Witch Doctor for the last time, I had Sam come in from the back of the house. So that way, whenever Witch Doctor gets punched in the face, she turns around, she's staring down Wendell instead of Captain Amazing. And I loved the little, because originally I was like, you're going to stare her down and then she's going to go off. But you started doing like a little head movement of like, get out of here head movement.
Nice.
And I was like, yes, that's so cool. But the face that you were making at her was just such a triumphant, like, I have overcome you look, which is what I wanted from it. And the idea that Witch Doctor, like, if she is a representation of Wendell's anxiety, that she isn't fully defeated at the end of the show. Like, she's not put down. Like, she does escape.
Right.
Which I wanted that to represent. It's like she's not gone. Completely. She will be back.
Maybe weaker than before, maybe not, but maybe you're more equipped to handle it.
Yeah. And I think I loved that that the acting choice that you did with that. And I was like, oh, that's so
Oh, I
good.
thank you. I had no idea if that was something people noticed or if you appreciate it or not. But it's kind of what you're saying. Like, I was like, this is the moment that I finally win for
Yes.
once throughout this show.
Yeah, I mean, it is such a big win specifically for Wendell at that point, because like we see the heroes win at times, but then we also see the heroes lose, and whenever we see that the final confrontation at the end, that the heroes and their writer win, is something really special.
And two, like, I think the nod, right? Like, I'm the writer, right? Like, Witch Doctor's only doing what I'm supposed, writing her to do. So having me be the one to essentially tell her to leave, right? Like, she was not going to leave until I'm the one who tells her to leave. Captain Amazing can punch her all he wants, but until I say go, she's not going to go. So
Yeah.
it's so fun having those like moments when you're acting and you just in that second you just have this instinct and you just do it, and it's like not something you planned ahead of time.
Yeah, there were a lot of moments that people had that were just special. That just kind of just happen in the moment. Like, it's like the idea is like you still every night when you perform something, I encourage people to make new discoveries. And if that means like making a new choice for something, as long as it's not like blatantly, like you're not going to run screaming off the stage whenever you're supposed to be doing something else. Like I'm fine with new choices being made. Like, I know, like for me personally, there was a moment with Trickshot's funeral. There was a day that Deacon's hat fell off during the zombie attack scene. And like instinctually as Sneak, I went to go pick it up. But then when I ran off the first time, I dropped the hat. And like for me personally, I dealt with a death in our family the week before we opened. Like literally a week before our Friday performance, I was like, I got on a plane to Kansas City and went home for my uncle's funeral. And something that my Uncle Corey loved was his hats. And I didn't tell, I don't think I told you, maybe I told you, but I didn't tell Sierra this. The Jayhawk hat that was in the moving scene when you guys were packing up.
Yeah.
That is one of my uncle's hats.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I was like, I didn't want to tell Sierra that, because I was like, I don't want you to get freaked out by that. But yes, that is one of my uncle's hats. And picking up Deacon's hat during that scene, which is kind of like, I don't know, it's just like one of those things like for me that I kind of needed to do. Because for me, that scene, the words that were being said in that scene, the words that you wrote months ago were words that were being said at my uncle's funeral, and things that are like, that we have said. And like it's all those words that like you wish that you would have said to someone before they're gone. And art's healing. It's cathartic. That scene was hard for me every night to do. Not just because like it's like I have like the personal bit with it, but like it's a moving scene regardless. And then getting to navigate that scene with people that I really trust was special. Because I've done like a lot of emotional scenes, and I have found that if I don't have a close relationship with the people on stage, like it's really hard to be that vulnerable in front of them, let alone a crowd of 60 people that's watching you. But I don't know, there was just something about this cast that made that, like every night I was like, I don't know if it's going to happen tonight. And every night it super did. And it hit me every night, just the wave of, not only my real grief, but like the grief that these characters are feeling together. But the fact that we were all navigating it together was something special. Like there were definitely the last couple nights like have been, Sweet Hayden had a big cry too. And we would just like have a big hug at the end of that scene backstage and go recover and laugh it off during intermission and get ready for the next one. But I think that's something special about live theater, is that you get to feel things and share those feelings with the audience. And there was rarely a dry eye during scenes like that. And the way that you, Sam, handled that scene, because like that is a scene that like leads to Wendell hurting himself for the first time. For you as an actor, like, you handled that with such grace, and like you were very you were so attentive to like how important that scene was, and like how like you wanted to handle that with care, as and I really appreciated that, and like being willing as an actor to like ask the question of being like, how do I navigate this, as this is something that like I don't know what this is like. So I really appreciate you being, I mean, honest with me, and then like being, so that way I was like, oh yeah, please let me help you with this.
Of course, right? Like, you guys are my friends, and this meant so much to you, and something like self-harm is so serious, and it's sadly prevalent, nowadays. And people can, something that's serious and personal for people, I think, when it's not portrayed with the, by someone who's done the right, research, or made sure that they put enough care into it, like, it comes off less honoring and more like mockery.
Yeah.
Or it can,
Or
right?
it's like edgy to be edgy.
Right,
Like contemporary theater is like, oh,
yeah,
all the
right.
things.
This needed to be a really serious, really real moment. And I felt like if I wasn't careful, I could very easily have it become sort of like oh, I'm depressed and I'm going to hurt myself now.
Yeah.
And people are just like, okay.
Well, and yeah, that whole scene was it was one of my favorite to, by the end of the run, at least one of my favorite to like just watch and witness. And that was one that I was always like locked in during, specifically because like a lot of that scene, so much of it is like subtle, like in the way that like things are different now. In the way of like, and even in the stage direction of, it's like he walks to his desk instead of running to it, or right, and then it's like he sits there for a long time before starting instead of like going at it immediately, right? And even down to like the verbiage of like, so in the script, every other time, or most of the time, whenever it's transitioning into the comic book, the stage direction says the world of the comic book comes to life. And in that scene in particular, it says that it infects the world around him, right? And then at the end it says, and this is quite frankly a rude bit of foreshadowing, but at the end of the stage direction is it bleeds back into the real world. And so even down to like, and this is one that me and our lighting designer Lark worked on with that scene, was again more of that like, this is different. And it's one that like the audience can like pick up and see and hear, and maybe they don't know why at first until it's too late, right? But because it's like the lighting was much dimmer in that scene, and but also like the other ones were much more like, the changes with the green were much more jarring than they were, right? And then the sound of like, instead of, that was our favorite like theme, was the trick shot theme, because it has this very like classic Western, like doo like the bass and everything.
It's the really pretty like finger style guitar stuff.
Yeah,
And
but for that one, I just took the drums.
yes.
For that version of the scene.
Oh, that's cool.
And so it was like, and that's the thing, is like so for the other ones, it was like the melody and the other instruments, and it's like, no, just the drums here, and it
Nice.
feels like there is something missing.
Yes. It was very jarring to be like, oh, where's the cool guitar here? Especially when the first part of that scene starts with a shootout that ends with someone dying. Like, Sheriff Skull is dead within the first like 2 minutes of that scene, and then Shortly is not dead.
The second half of it is also like very encapsulating to watch as well, because of like the follow up afterwards of like, the audience has a little bit of time to like process of like again, it's one of my favorite bits of after the comic book is done. Not to pump my own tires, but it was one that would always hit me when Rebecca was reading the stage directions of like, why isn't Trickshot getting up? And that was one that I thought she had a brilliant delivery of. Like, most of it, she's like, yes, this is the stage direction. And that one, the delivery was like a very genuine question of like, hang on.
It was upsetting.
Yeah.
And I think that helped us who were like backstage of being like, okay, the world has changed now.
Yeah.
And now we have to deal with it. The bit of sound and lighting that you and Lark did for like Richard becoming a defibrillator, and like the physicality for that.
Oh, when is that moment? I never saw that.
Oh,
you were
my
off
gosh.
stage for it.
Yeah, you were off stage by then, but it was when we were all like trying to figure out if he was dead or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
That like we had it that there were certain lines that would cue the defibrillator, and the physicality that Andrew and Deacon did.
It was impressive.
Impressive and upsetting in the best way possible, for what it needed to be. It truly was impressive. I'm very proud of Deacon for all the work that he did. Due to some circumstances, he ended up stepping into the role of Trick Shot the Friday before we opened, basically Tech Week. He stepped into that role and did a fantastic job.
Kudos.
With it. And the heart that he brought with that made that scene even more upsetting. You see Sweet Deacon dead, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some happier stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's share some moments that were just fun, like either if they were actor moments or like moments from the booth that we thought were fun. Mine's technically still kind of a sad thing, but it was the Thursday night show. We had a lot of our Youth Artists Guild Lubbock friends in the audience, and they were definitely our most vocal crowd, and which was delightful. But the scene that Sneak kills Captain Amazing, when I walked in for the first time, hearing the oh no bit, but the way I blocked the initial like getting Captain Amazing down, we had it that Sneak like attacks Red Notice and Captain Amazing while she's invisible, and then we have the lights out and then come back up. And I'm like standing right behind the curtain, just like getting ready to dash back out there. But as I'm standing behind the curtain and I hear the slices happening, and I hear some of my students be like, no, Sneak, oh no.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And then I came back on stage, lights come back up, and I'm like, I pull Captain Amazing's hair, and they're like, ah, and slice his throat. I had to keep myself from looking giddy. Because I was like, no, you have to cry over Hayden's body after this. Like, get it together. But as an actor, I was like, oh, this is so cool. And that they're all like.
And that's why I was so glad that in the pre-show announcement, it encouraged the audience to be vocal and interact, because gosh, that's so important for live acting to have that feedback. Because when the audience is silent, you have no idea if they're just loving it silently or if they are hating every second of it. And you get down the wrong mental track, and it can get pretty self-defeating quick. Yeah.
Well, and then we, another great audience pop moment that night, and then it happened the other nights, but it was definitely the biggest on Thursday, was when Trick Shot came back. In the final, in the final scene, it literally was just Melissa saying the word Trick Shot.
Yeah,
and there
the
was
kids
a pop.
And it just, oh man,
it was awesome to see.
And I think most nights there was a pretty vocal reaction.
Yeah,
to his return.
Because on Sunday they clapped when he like came out and like started walking down the steps, and I think that was Sunday and Saturday.
Yeah,
because then everyone else is like, okay, we can't hear the gunshots because they're cheering so loud.
Yeah, figure out how to signal to your friends.
And then Friday they cheered after the gunshots, and like once all the villains like ran away,
we were like, oh yes, okay, because you can't control them.
That's the beauty of it, right? Every night is such a unique experience.
Yeah. My favorite one, and this is right after that scene. And it's just in general, the best thing was to me was the ending of 3.3, when like everyone's out there and the whole like Captain Amazing versus the zombie Captain Amazing versus everyone fight is so cool. I remember the first time we ran that like with sound, and like that whole scene, not just that fight, but seeing all the actors like everything click in their brains of being like, oh yeah, okay, now we get it. Between the music and the sound effects and everything else going on. Specifically, there's two specific parts. One was Captain Amazing's like entrance, because again, that was another one where the music in that was just the drums and bass of the Captain Amazing theme, and so it's one that like we're used to hearing the horns and everything. It's like, oh no, it's just this like scary part. But then also because one of the nights when he came out, whoever was in the back row was like, oh no. Because to them they just see this giant come out of the booth and then the cape walking away from them.
Oh, that cape. Because Hayden such a sweetie pie. And like for most of the time, like when he's on stage, you're like, oh, we got this wonderful Superman looking guy and he's like heroic. But man, homeboy just like drops his eyebrows and it's scary. Like there was one night where when he pins me to the ground, because he's such a gentleman. Every time that we would do the fight call, he'd pick me up afterwards and we'd be like, we'd high five and whatever. But that night when he did not stop holding me on the ground, I was like, oh no, oh shoot.
But my favorite like tech cue in the whole show is that very last punch to Witch Doctor, because that was one that Lark figured out how to basically do an impact frame on stage, which if you are unfamiliar with the term, it's in animation of like any time there's an action thing and it's just a single frame where the only thing that's actually on screen is just the lines, like all the color goes away, it's just white and everything. So we figured out how to make it look like an impact frame on stage, and so it's that final punch after that's that on that was just like that quick lighting cue, and then immediately after that fade into the not fade, but that like childhood motif picking up again.
Yeah. I'm sad. Like I feel like there's so many cool details to the sound and lighting that I just missed because I was too focused on what I was doing.
In it.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully we've got recordings of stuff that we're gonna get a good edit together for it.
Sweet. Yeah. Because that is the funny thing with like tech in a show like that I kind of forgot about, having not acted in a while, is like there's no one that kind of gives you like a, hey, by the way, this is the tech stuff that you're going to be seeing and hearing. It just kind of starts happening and you're like, I have music here.
Yeah, like the first night that all my projections were done, like I had a lot of actors that came up to me being like, oh, this is like really cool, like because I used an old trick that I used for a Little Women design years ago, and just because of the current injury I'm dealing with and the time frame, I was like, okay, well, we're just gonna reuse this trick. But the effect got what I wanted it to be, and I was just like, works for me. I can always want to do more with something, but for what we got on stage, I was very pleased with it. But yeah, no, design and tech, it's so important, and it really, all of the tech elements that you and Lark brought made the show just it got it to the point where I needed it to be, where like it was the several steps above a stage reading, and I'm really grateful for the work that y'all put in.
Yeah. Well, that was one as well. That was fun. And this is something that I generally try to do when I'm doing sound design is I remember a friend once told me she described my sound design as maximalist.
That's so funny.
And so that.
Hey Ben, how many cues?
Yep, I was about to ask.
Yeah, no, you go. Sam, ask the question.
Hang on, I had it written down too.
Because I remember there's a couple moments where I was in the booth and I would see you scrolling through that list, and I'm like, hot diggity damn.
That QLab file is crazy.
So my QLab file for the show, and this is with sound and projection cues in there.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
As well, is why it's also so massive.
Okay,
because we're putting them on one computer instead of two separate ones.
Sure, yeah.
But most of it was mine. But that QLab file had 377 goes in it. Approximately. It's probably more like 380 because there were some that got misnumbered along the way.
Sure.
Wow. But the total like instances of like individual lines in it was 825.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff Stover still thinks those are rookie numbers.
I haven't sent this one to him yet.
I'm sure it was fun, but I'm not jealous.
No, absolutely not. I was swearing at that so much while I was specifically programming projections.
Oh yeah,
sorry.
That's fine. Because that's just one that I always have to like remember how it works with projections, and like then you're layering it on top of sounds and everything, and it's fine. But so whenever I am doing sound design, fully knowing that I am gonna have so many in there, and I do it to myself, so I have no right to complain. But I usually try to bring sound into the rehearsal space as early as I can. Because I remember with What If, it was about halfway through that I was bringing in music and sound effects. And with Lady Legacy, we were practicing with sound effects for, again, like 3 weeks before opening.
I mean, because it's its own dialogue at that point.
Yeah.
And it does affect things. It affects fights like crazy because sound music makes you want to go faster.
Yeah.
Always. 11 times out of 10 makes you go faster.
Yeah. Well, and that's especially some of the things, and I love like happy little accidents when it comes to picking music for fight stuff, because that was my favorite thing when people come up to us like, "Oh, did you score this yourself?" And I say, "No, I got really lucky and found a song that really fit the pacing perfectly," because there were 3 instances. And it ended up being 4 of them, I think, that were really like perfectly timed most nights. The first one was the second trick shot scene. There's a part in the song where it shifts from like the guitar and the bass and everything to like a viola as the primary instrument. And that swap to the viola happened when Doc Patterson made her entrance. And it was a fun little bit of like, ooh, okay, this is an important change or whatever, right? The second one was, again, the third trick shot scene, and it started happening like when we were performing, and I need to ask Rod if this. I don't. There's no way to do it on purpose because they had no idea what the timing was like. But it ended up being so perfect because there's a bit where, as Sheriff Skull, he like spits at the ground next to Trick Shot, and like it happened right when like there's a single like 2-beat pause in the drums. And it happened nuts. Right at that. He would spit, and immediately when it paused, and it was just this like, whoa, hear a pin drop type of moment.
I was watching it intently yesterday, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, we were in the booth like, wow, yeah, every time. And then the other ones were in the Heroes at War fight. So specifically when Captain Amazing and Dark Fog are fighting and Rebecca has the stage direction of something's wrong or something seems off. And right when she said that, there is a little bit in the music where there's this like digital bit that pops up in it, and it sounds like the it's a very like tiny thing. That sounds like a glitch almost, but it is, for surely is part of the music.
Yeah.
And then my last favorite one is specifically in the Everyone versus Captain Amazing fight, because it has this like false ending to the music as well, where it leads up and then like it's swelling and everything, and then it ends with this 4 like dun 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 like 4 times in a row, that sequence of notes. And that was always like we were in there like yeah
man, that music was so much fun to fight too.
I bet.
And getting I think the first time that we did the impact of Hayden getting me to the ground, and then like me trying to get up and him pushing me back down, we got it like on the beat with it, and I was like, oh,
how satisfying.
I love happy accidents.
So many, the super claps were one of my favorites, because man, from even backstage or even from watching up in the booth, it was like you feel the impact of it, and I'm not even in the direct path of the speakers.
Well, and you had to keep bumping up the sound effect for that because Hayden's clap is so loud.
I had to make the sound cues. I had to put like a +10 on them because Hayden's claps were naturally just so loud, and I was like, okay, they're just going to be real loud.
Wow. Yeah. How cool.
Did you have any favorite acting moments that you got to do on stage?
Ooh, in 2.1, right, my first high school scene, and I start drawing a comic, and at first things seem pretty standard to what we've been seeing, and then Red Notice comes in, and she starts getting all touchy-feely with Captain Amazing, and Alex is like, hey, what are you doing? And I did not, I don't know that she's looking at my comic, and so that was fun, because you see that moment in media, and it's like the like scrambling and covering it up and hiding it. Like, it's nothing. Yeah. Shut up, don't look at me. And playing with that and figuring out how to get that to be like really silly was a lot of fun. And also, in a weird way, I found the very, very serious scenes to be a very big highlight for me. Namely, like the scene where I kill Trickshot and the scene where I kill Captain Amazing. Because and really just generally with the show, right? I spend so much of the show sitting on stage at a desk drawing. And I know that the most of the focus is not on me, but I'm still trying to be as in it and like expressing what Wendell's probably feeling while he draws this. And so I'm, focusing on my face and my breathing and my body and like if my feet are tapping and the way that I'm positioned on the drawing table and maybe like how fast I'm drawing and how, jittery or smooth what I'm drawing is. Like my mind is racing while I'm sitting in that desk and few people are actually looking at me. But it was fun to like get better at that throughout. And kind of every scene that I'm on stage drawing, I sort of throughout the process figured out the exact state of all these elements that was right, that felt right, and that was really rewarding. And then particularly with those two, I'm killing a character scenes, I discovered that I can make myself cry on stage. I did not know this.
Dang.
Not instantly.
Yeah.
I know it happens.
But thankfully those scenes give me time to kind of work
Yeah.
up to that.
The way that you would always start the Heroes at War scene, your Megalo City night, I
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, because I remember that version of you, Ben. Like I remember the angry at the world version, and I was like, you just feel it, how angry Wendell is just at everything. And Ben and I had talked about this, and we had talked about this when I was like kind of coaching some of the scene work of that, the idea of self-harm in that case of that scene, for lack of a better way of describing it, it's a more advanced form of self-harm in the sense that he's able to hide it because Wendell is isolating himself from what he loves at that point. And that is a form of hurting yourself by like cutting yourself off from what you love. So instead of like the physical like harming himself, what he had been doing, like this was a very distinct, I mean, and then the fact that he doesn't write for 3 years after that, it's the way that because you said Megalo City night, and that's the last line you say in that scene, because you throw the sketchbook in the box and then are just gone, and like it's jarring for everybody.
And I don't even have a lot of lines to get from the goofing off with Alex to that point, which is those two like are so far apart. And so that was a challenge, and I think I got there, but
you super did.
It's I wave goodbye to Alex and I turn around and I just have like one word responses to a few questions from my parents, and then I sit down and start drawing a comic. And so trying to like go from I was just now happy to I'm so rageful I am about to destroy the thing that I love most. That was fun and really difficult.
For me as a director and as an actor, like I'm always wanting, like as a director, I want to stretch people. And then like as an actor, like I want to grow. And like I've said for the past almost 2 years is that like Percy has been my favorite character to portray on stage. And Sneak is right up there with her, if not has surpassed her. And I do think it's probably mostly because of the stage of life I'm in right now and the life circumstances I'm dealing with. But it was a healing character to get to play, but then also for me as an actor, like learning how to use the emotions and then be like, okay, you have some recovery time, because like a lot of times like I'd like have a crying scene and it would just take me a second to calm down because like your body like doesn't realize that you're not in distress anymore. Yeah. It's like I was just kidding, haha. And like after once we would finish the show, I would have to like take like a minute to be like, okay, nervous system, chill out. Mm-hmm. You are not in danger. Yeah. it's fine. And I think everybody in the cast, but like I'll speak to you especially, Sam, like everybody took the challenges I gave them and sprinted with them, like, and everybody like busted across that finish line with flying colors. And I couldn't have asked for more. And I, for me being the wife of the playwright, my biggest goal was like, I was like, as long as Ben is happy with what's being portrayed, I'm happy. And of course you want people to show up. And we had such a wonderful like collection of audience members throughout this run. So if you came and saw us this weekend, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was such a delight to get to perform this show, and this truly was our handshake to our community of being like, this is what we are and who we are and what we want to do. And I really do appreciate you, Ben, for being so courageous and giving of your personal story and the characters that you have been writing, and like the fact that we all get to play with them now. And it's hard. It's hard to share the tough stuff. But I know that there were people impacted by it, whether they came up and talked to us or if we don't know the impact that we had, but I know that there was an impact, even just within our cast, which was really special.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for, allowing me this opportunity to portray you, or, the pseudo you. I was so taken aback when I was offered the role, right? As far as I was aware, I was coming for a table reading and nothing more. And I'm packing up my things. And then Abby comes up and is like, hey, you want to play, the character that represents my husband? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is a big deal. And I'm so grateful that it lined up so well with my schedule, because
well, you're booked and busy. Like I was like, I bet you we're not going to be able to get him.
It was perfect.
I was so worried that I was like, man, he's just getting so much work. I don't know if we're going to get him or not, but I got to try.
Yeah. Because I felt like, at least to me, I saw it as an opportunity to thank you guys for how much you've given me, right? I mean, I've had both of you as teachers, as friends, and you've given me, so much. Like I've learned so much from you, and I've made friends through you guys, and this was like I was being handed this great opportunity to kind of repay that, is how I saw it. And so my only hope is that you guys are happy with how I did. Ben, specifically, I don't know how you feel about it really, but I hope that I did you justice.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I like always have such a hard time keeping it together anytime I'm like thinking or talking about this. Like even looking through the rehearsal, not the rehearsal, the photos that Savannah took, I was like scrolling through those. I get emotional.
Incredible photos, by the way. Shout out to Savannah. Oh my gosh.
Hire her for everything. She's incredible.
But yeah, no, this like you did great in this, and this is one that I like genuinely, after like finishing writing and those few like conversations that I had with people, here and there during some of the rehearsal process about like specifically the real world characters. Like I sort of separated myself from the character, and got to like enjoy it in that way. And I feel very fortunate that I'm able to do that kind of easily. But I was able to do that every night until the very final like seconds of the show. With the
when I asked you to record your own All About.
Well, yeah, but like with the last All About, like even so, like in the writing process, there was some point where I like when I remember adding in the All Abouts, and that was just like a fun thing, and then it became like part of the story and everything. There are specific moments that I was like, I know this is going to happen at some point. It's just a matter of how we get there, right? And I marked out as like, this is what Wendell is going through at this time, right? And I'll figure out what the comic book story is from there. But some of the things I knew was like Trickshot is going to die, Captain Amazing is going to be killed by Sneak, and then I was like, and then they will both come back. There will be a big thing in the end. But I remember writing the All Abouts, and then it just like popped in my head. I was like, wait a minute, I can fit one more in. At the end, and this is one that I was kind of hesitant about too, because I was like, I don't know, it's a little, because like the whole time like Wendell is like referencing my own pseudonym for writing, right? And I put it in there at first, and I wasn't sure about it, and I passed it by Abby and Ella, and I was like, hey, is this like too much? And both of you were like, no, that was both of you were like, that is exactly how it needs to end.
Well, with that freaking page break that you had in between it, I remember I remember distinctly reading that for the first time and then running to you because you have the habit of handing me your laptop and then going to do dishes.
Yep.
And then I have to come find you. And I was a wreck, but I was just like, that's the perfect ending for it. And I appreciate you taking my request as a director to say, when I said, hey, I want you to record this.
Yeah.
And then me throwing a picture of you with baby you and Shadow and a picture of us like from when we were early dating. Just there was a picture of us in our dorm room, in my dorm room, reading Screw Tape Letters. That's what that picture was.
Yeah.
And it was important for me to acknowledge that this was you. And I'm glad that you did that for yourself, because you're not the kind of person that does that too often.
Yeah.
And I
No, I hate being made the center of attention.
but I was like, no.
Like, for everyone who doesn't know, like when we took our big like photo with everyone in the show, they had to force me to sit in the middle.
Yeah.
He was standing in the back corner and I was like, Benjamin, get in the center. Are you kidding me?
And I think, I mean, I have to imagine it had it like that was a big part of why it impacted people too, is like, because for the people who are identifying with Wendell, to have that final, like, you know, like bring it home that like, not only are they identifying with this character, guess what? The character's actually a real person.
Yeah.
Guess what? This is a real story. And so there are more people like you out there who get you. And I think that was huge for people watching the show.
And I think I've said this in another episode, but like, I love being able to say that like I got to know you better by not only reading the show, but by directing it and performing in it. Like with Sneak being a direct representation of Wendell, it was very insightful for me to get to walk in a pair of shoes that was close to yours. And again, I think that that's a big thing with art, with how messy and gross the world is. Like, if we can learn to walk in each other's shoes and see other people's perspective, it does just make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more pleased with our first show, first official show as a nonprofit together. It was really great. So, before we wrap up today, Sam, do you want to shout out any projects that you're working on?
Yeah, for sure. Sadly, I won't be acting in anything soon, but I will be sound designing for the Language Archive, which will be performing at the Hollingsworth Hall Cultural Center, March 6th through 8th and 12th through 14th. That's going to be a fun one. I'm told, I haven't gotten to read the script yet, admittedly. Don't tell James.
Oh, no, he's listening right now.
Yeah, don't tell him. James, if you're hearing this, no, you didn't. But I'm told it's a really great like love story that talks about, you know, the barriers in communication and that kind of thing. So that'll be great. And then at Texas Tech, as my capstone project, I will be sound designing for Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. It's looking like it's going to be a real cool show. That opens April 16th and runs through the 26th. So definitely come see that. If you're not familiar, it's like a thriller musical. I mean, it's a Stephen Sondheim, so great music. Oh, it's going to be good.
Yeah, it's gonna those two productions. Wonderful Lubbock talent involved in both of those. So please go support the arts here in our hometown. We are so grateful for the other groups that we get to support, and we just want everybody to be loving the arts as much as we do.
Thank you guys for having me on today.
Yeah, of
It was
course.
such an honor.
We have loved having you. The fact that we love getting to have like the transition from student to friend and collaborator, like that's always, I love that pipeline. It's so great. Like
Yeah.
I remember when I was teaching stage combat to you, it was like, in a couple of months we can be friends. Whenever I'm not your teacher anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, always a joy to work with Sam. If you get a chance to hire him, do it, because you will have the best experience with him wherever he is at. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Lore Drop. Our next episode is going to be an introduction to Children of Destiny Cataclysm. It is the audio drama that is going to be our third production slot of 2026. The next several weeks of episodes, we're going to be giving you background knowledge of people, places, and things, and all a bunch of lore that will help you enjoy the upcoming audio drama even more and get you more acclimated to the world of Reinvent. We've got so many spreadsheets of information to share with you, and we are very excited to be talking with a bunch of our friends about some of our favorite stuff. That next episode will be with one of our previous tabletop players, Libby, who did not play in the Cataclysm campaign.
No.
But it's a great conversation about tabletop and how we are going about adapting our tabletop play time into plays and audio dramas. It's a fun little pipeline, so we're so excited for you to get to listen to that.
Yeah. And remember,
Being fantastic starts with being a fan.
Yeah. Reinvent Productions is proudly sponsored by 5 Points Corporation Lubbock and Savannah Rashida Photography, as well as our other wonderful community patrons. Our home base in Lubbock is Hollingsworth Hall Cultural Center at 4228 Boston Avenue. For more information on how to support our 501c3 organization, you can check out our website at www.reinvent-productions.com. To directly support our upcoming audio drama, you can become a Lore Drop sponsor. For just $10, you can sponsor an episode of this podcast. All donations will go towards support for our upcoming production of Children of Destiny Cataclysm Season 1, which will begin releasing episodes June 22nd, 2026. Funds will go towards paying our wonderful voice actors and creative staff for their fantastic talent and time. We have over 30 artists globally working on this production, and we can't wait for you to hear it this summer. You can donate at givebutter.com/Lore Drop sponsor. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at reinvent.productions, as well as on Facebook and Twitch, where we stream gaming and a look behind the scenes on how we create our new works. Be sure to follow us to stay in the loop about upcoming productions, auditions, and more. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode of Lore Drop.